Yes, gang, we are back. Today, I'm gonna go through 15 things I wish I knew when I was starting my fitness journey when I was 15. Number one, sleep is king. In order for us to be able to perform our best, recover, for our digestion to be in a good position, for our appetite to be good, everything revolves around that sleep being in a good spot. Once that sleep starts to dip off, and we start to sleep less and the sleep quality dips, we will see negative impacts on training performance, on our recovery, and on our ability to actually see muscle being built. Number two, rest is important. When I started training, I was training 7 days a week. And at the time, I thought I had to do that because more is always better, but it is not always the case. When I start pulling my training back to 6 days a week and 5 days a week and actually prioritize them 1 or 2 rest days per week, that's when my body started to progress and see a lot more growth as well. So training is important to stimulate the muscle. Rest is also super important for that muscle to actually recover and for that growth to actually occur. Number three, having a set structure and routine to my day makes it a lot easier for me to stay on track and progress. When I was younger, obviously I was in school, so I had a wake up time, I had lunch times, I had a home time. I knew when I was eating, waking up, training, doing my homework. I knew when I was doing everything time throughout the day. Weekends, things got a bit more difficult, and on summer holidays, etc. as well. So what I learned from this is that on weekends, during summer holidays, I needed to create a different routine to what I was doing on a Monday to Friday when I was in school. So I set my wake up times, I set my meal times, I set my training times, and held myself accountable to that, because once the structure and routine is in place, it is very difficult to kind of veer off track and lose momentum. So set your routine, set your daily structure, and hold yourself accountable to this, even when you are not working 9 to 5 or weekdays where you're in work. When it comes to the days such as weekends that are difficult to stay on track, set your routine for them days. It's going to be different to weekdays, but set a different routine which you're going to be able to stick to, and it will make things a lot easier. Number four, looking after your body is important. So stretching properly, using proper range of motion, proper form, proper execution. These are things that I completely neglected when I was younger. You know, I thought I was untouchable. You know, I could do anything. My joints weren't sore, my muscles weren't sore, I couldn't get hurt. And when you're younger, it's great. But 10 years later, I am now kind of facing the repercussions of this by seeing little issues come in. So things I'd done when I was younger are now starting to catch up on me now, not looking after myself in terms of stretching, you know, throwing weights around with poor form, etc. as well. I now have little niggles here and there that I do have to work around. You know, even in terms of mobility, not stretching, not treating mobility as a priority when I was younger has definitely impacted my ability to get into some poses, etc. properly on stage now as well, which I have to really work hard on now and get frequent work done to try and recorrect the problems that I've kind of caused from the early days. So I didn't pay attention to these things when I was younger. It's boring, it's monotonous, but trust me, it's worth it, because if I could go back and change it, I definitely would. Number five, be patient. Results don't happen overnight. You're not going to be shredded after 1 week of dieting. You're not going to be huge after 1 week in the gaining phase. And this is something that, you know, we all struggle with, because we all want to reach our goals like yesterday. We don't want to wait the amount of time it's going to take to actually get there. So be patient. Learn how to enjoy the process of what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, enjoying the mini goals that you are seeing. So for example, if you're in a dieting phase, enjoying seeing your physique get leaner on a day-to-day basis. If you're in a gaining phase, enjoy seeing clothes getting tighter, lifts improving the gym, you getting stronger. Focusing on these little wins, these are what will add up to the big wins and the big goals that you do have. Patience. You will get there, but realize it's not going to happen overnight. Be consistent and enjoy the process. Number six, everyone is built different. So what one person has to do to get to their goal is going to be completely different to what someone else has to do. So if someone is in a dieting phase, they may have to eat 2,000 calories and do 40 minutes cardio a day. Someone else may be eating 3,000 calories and doing no cardio. It's going to be completely person dependent. So stop comparing to what somebody else is doing to get to their goal and realize that you will never be them. You know, they will never be you. You're gonna have to do different things to get to your goal. So stop comparing and realize that everyone is going to be different. What you're doing to get to your goal is all that matters. Number 7, we can't look like someone else and someone else can't look like us. So similar to the last one in terms of stop comparing, okay? Because it's all good to look at certain physiques and certain people and use that as inspiration. But what we have to realize is that we can use that as inspiration to be like, okay, you know, I like the way they look, I like their legs, I like their arms, I like their abs. Let that motivate you to work harder, but you cannot be unhappy because you don't look like somebody else, okay? You can only be you. So trying to create the best version of you, that's what matters. And it's something that I wish I knew when I was younger, because I used to be training and I used to be like, why don't I look like this person? Yeah, why don't I look like that person? And it just brings a lot of unhappiness and lack of enjoyment. Whereas when you use other people as motivation and inspiration, or, you know, allow them to drive you forward to work harder, that allows you to create the best version of you. And that's all that matters at the end of the day. Number 8, getting a coach would fast track my progress. I didn't think I needed anybody else when I was younger. I was kind of using myself as my own little experiments to kind of learn along the way, and I did. I learned a lot, I made the progress, but I wasted a lot of time in doing so. If I invested in a coach from an early age, I would have saved so much time. I would have made a lot more progression a lot faster, and I would have been able to learn a lot more from a professional in their field. And on that note, if you want to be coached by myself, the link is in my bio. So click the link, drop me a message, and we'll go have a chat. Number 9, no half reps. The muscle must be taken through its full range of motion. Okay, so what's going to be more beneficial? Lifting a load using half reps, or being patient, using full range of motion within that movement, and then over time, seeing that weight build up, okay? That way, you're gonna be just a strong couple of months down the line with full range of motion, and therefore, a lot more growth. So what is the goal? To look like we can lift more weights, or to actually lift safely, see more muscle growth, and get bigger? Trust me, I've been there. You know, I've sacrificed range of motion, I've lifted heavier, but all that it's kind of led to me doing is kind of getting injured, picking up niggles, and not necessarily gaining as much tissue as what I could. Number 10, you're not going to die. You need to go through periods of discomfort in order to progress. So are you getting hungry in the dieting phase? Are you going through a bit of discomfort and pain towards the back end of your sets when they start to get hard? Are you finding it difficult to get your meals down in a gaining phase when your appetite starts to die? It's part of the process. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. If you want to be like everybody else, don't do it. If you want to progress, learn how to enjoy the periodic discomforts for the rewards that it brings. There's plenty of people in the world who are eating a lot less than you are, who are going through, you know, illness, sickness, etc. as well. So realistically, our periodic discomforts, it's a luxury. It's something that we choose to do. And like I said, you're not going to die. Number 11, you can't out-train a bad diet. So no matter how hard you train in the gym or how much effort you put in, if your nutrition does not match your goals, you will not get there. The two go hand in hand. We can't have the training without the nutrition, just like we can't have the nutrition without the training. So realize that if you are in a gaining phase and want to add muscle, your nutrition must reflect that. If your goal is to lose body fats, you have to realize that your nutrition must match that goal. You can't out-train a bad diet. Your training may be absolutely bang on, but if the nutrition isn't there to support the goal, it is not going to happen. Number 12, when starting a dieting phase, don't cut your food drastically low straight away and add a crazy amount of cardio. More than likely, you are going to lose a decent amount of weight over that first week, but then energy levels are going to plummet right down. Cravings will be super high, energy will be super low, hunger will be super high, and it will not be sustainable. So yes, you may see an initial big drop off, but then going to the second and third week, as cravings start to kick in as it begins to be a little less sustainable, usually that weight comes straight back on. So instead, take your time. Maybe take a 200 to 300 calorie reduction in your food. Maybe add in a little bit of cardio. Yes, the initial drop may not be as high, but it's going to be more sustainable. So rather than seeing a drop in the first week and then regaining that straight away, you will then see a smaller drop each week, but you're going to have more energy. Training's going to be better, your cravings are going to be lower, hunger is going to be lower, and you can sustain that gradual fat loss for a lot longer. And therefore, you will see more success in that diet over time rather than just one good week. Number 13, when beginning a gaining phase, don't just eat everything in sight. I think we've all done this at one stage. So more than likely, all that's going to happen is you're going to get a lot fatter very, very fast. What will happen is appetites will start to massively take a hit after a couple of weeks. Digestion will start to suffer as well. And all of a sudden, your gaining phase is over. So instead, take your time, gradually increase them food amounts over time based off what your body needs. You're going to stay a lot leaner as performance moves forward and as you grow. Appetite will stay in a good position so you're not forcing food down. Digestion will stay in a good spot so you're actually utilizing that food. And again, it's going to see a lot more progression over time rather than your gaining phase just dying after a week or two. Number 14, the quickest way to lose muscle in a dieting phase, lift lighter. So you spent all this time building this muscle by progressively training and training a certain way, but for some reason, when we get to a dieting phase, we think we have to drop the weights back and do higher reps. We've all been there at some stage, especially when I was younger. So remember, what builds the muscle is what will keep the muscle. So in a dieting phase, don't give in to the lower energy, okay? Keep the mindset strong. Continue training the way you have to build that muscle, and that's going to maintain that level of tissue that you have throughout that dieting phase. Now at the back end of a dieting phase, obviously strength may drop off a little bit here or there, and that's absolutely fine, but just realize initially in the dieting phase, don't just change your whole training style just because you're dieting and you feel like lighter weights and higher reps is going to get you leaner, because it's not. And number 15, you don't have to eat foods that you hate to get to your goals. So cottage cheese, peanut butter, tuna, these are all foods, quote unquote bodybuilding foods, that when I was 15, I thought I had to eat in order to progress. Now, I ate them, I forced myself to eat them, and funnily enough, I actually love these foods now. Over time, I just started to actually enjoy them, but just realized that I didn't have to do that, okay? You can eat whatever food group that you want, foods that you enjoy within reason. Can't eat pizzas all day and progress, but you can eat the foods that you enjoy. There's no specific food groups that you have to eat if you actually really don't enjoy them. So basing your diet around foods that you enjoy, again, will make it a lot more sustainable, enjoyable, and lead to more long-term progression. And to round this off, one thing I heard when I was 15 that really stuck with me is you can't carve a pebble. When I was younger, when I went into dieting phases, I would always wonder why my physique didn't look like I anticipated it would, okay? And the reason being, I was a pebble, okay? And I didn't have the muscle mass needed to actually see my physique in the light that I wanted it to see when I did diet down. So basically, spend time in a surplus, build the tissue that you need, and then when you strip the body fat away, you'll have the physique that you want. So guys, that is 15 things I wish I knew at 15. I hope at least one of them has helped you. And if it has, like, share, subscribe, drop a comment, and I will see you in the next one.